I think the biggest realization that the app has brought to our studio is that instead of being able to just quickly write 5 words, now it can summarize an overall character or feeling that we're talking about in the piece in a much more digestible way. My name is Lauren Posey. I'm a cellist and a teacher based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and right now I have about 45 students in my private studio, and I'm also the executive director of the Intermountain Suzuki String Institute, which is one of the largest summer Suzuki programs currently in the world. Today I want to talk to you about how we use Tonic Notes in our private studio and what it's done to change how we take notes in our lessons. So currently in our private studio, we have parents in the studio. I also take notes on my side, and occasionally when there isn't a parent, so for example with an older student, the student is responsible for taking their own notes. But what Tonic Notes has done for us is that we can have the recording playing the entire time, and we know it's all being caught, and it's all being transcribed as well if anything gets lost later, which has been really great. What's really fun about Tonic Notes is when you upload the recording, so you upload the audio file, it gives you a nice overview of the lesson, and it also, one of our favorite parts that I love to show my students and my parents in my studio is if you want to re-listen to that, you click on the timestamp and it takes you directly to that part of the lesson, which is really neat. And what's been really fun is to go back and see how the lesson has been transcribed or how it's been dictated to see how I'm explaining things, and I've actually adjusted part of my teaching to make sure that I'm clearer with it, and so that the assignments are clearer and that it makes more sense. So as a teacher, I feel like it's also helped me with that benefit. The other cool tab is the homework tab, which a check mark. Everyone loves a check mark, so I love for my students to use that as they go throughout the week. And I really suggest for them to come through the recording when they first start their practice, right after the lesson. And then, of course, students know what they're practicing, so they take a couple of days without it. And then I recommend that they come back to it a day or two before their lesson to make sure that, oh man, I actually forgot this, to go through it. And that's when I ask them to put their check marks on it. You can go to the transcript, and it says word for word what you said in the lesson, which is really awesome. You can assign who the speaker is for clarity, and then also it extracts these sound excerpts or playing excerpts, and if there's one that means a lot, all you do is hold down on it, and then you press create bookmark, and then you can even add a note about it, which is really handy, so you can say what part of your practice it's recommended for. Then you create the bookmark, and now it'll always show up for that lesson as a bookmark, so you don't have to file through the entire transcript for it. So I think that's really handy as well. I think the biggest realization that the app has brought to our studio is that instead of being able to just quickly write 5 words, now it can summarize an overall character or feeling that we're talking about in the piece in a much more digestible way. And I think that's been the biggest aha moment, is now instead of just getting tidbits as what you can just scribble down quickly or in shorthand, now you're getting full concepts. And I think it's especially helpful when the students go in and read that concept, because we've worked so hard as teachers to make sure that practice categories are clear, that it's easy and accessible for the student to recreate at home. And now AI is going to help the teacher take more of the work away from the teacher to be able to make that more organized and accessible. If you're a one-to-one teacher or a private teacher like I am, and you're looking for a way to get even more out of your lessons and for your students to grow even faster, definitely look into Tonic Notes, and I will drop the link below for you to go download it and try it.